Ms. Heard arrived at the courthouse in Los Angeles, California, to file for a restraining order alleging abuse. Ms. Heard, the evidence will show that Ms. Heard showed up with a mark on her face that mysteriously appeared 6 days after she last saw Mr. Depp, and 6 days before she publicly filed a request for a domestic violence restraining order alleging abuse. The evidence will show that her publicist and the paparazzi were there at the courthouse to document the event, to make sure that Johnny Depp's name was forever associated with the image of an innocent, battered woman.
Hey, Amber.
Amber, did Johnny give you that bruise on your face? Did Johnny beat you up?
Stop.
Did Johnny brutalize you?
Stop.
Amber?
You guys, she showed a lot of courage.
Are you okay, Amber? You look upset.
It's back, guys.
How you doing?
You got in the wrong way.
Get her through. Get her through.
Amber.
Amber, how are you feeling?
Amber, are you
Amber, are you going to go to the doctor?
Are you okay?
Are you going to go to the hospital, Amber?
It was a jolt. It was a shocking story, splashed across front pages across the country. No one had ever, in 5 decades, accused Johnny Depp of being violent with a woman. No one had ever accused Mr. Depp of being violent with a woman. He had been in other long-term relationships. He had children.
Objection, Your Honor. Excuse me. May we approach?
No one, as I stated before, no one had ever, in 5 decades, no one had ever accused Johnny Depp of being abusive of any kind with a woman. That's why it was such a jolt. He had been in other long-term relationships, as I said. He had 2 children. And no one had even suggested ever that he was capable of something like this. By choosing to lie about her husband for her own personal benefit, Amber Heard forever changed Mr. Depp's life and reputation. And you will hear him tell you the dreadful impact that it has had on his life. The evidence you will hear at this trial contradicts the story Ms. Heard presented to the world in May 2016 and again in December 2018. The evidence will show that the last time Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard saw each other before Ms. Heard showed up in court on May 27th, 2016, was May 21st. And that's a very important date, and I will ask you please to remember that through the trial. Mr. Depp's mother, Betty Sue, passed away on May 20th after a long illness when Johnny and his sister Christy had been taking care of his mother for a very long period of time. And for reasons that Mr. Depp will personally explain to you throughout the course of this trial, he had resolved to divorce Ms. Heard. So on May 21st, Mr. Depp came by the apartment that he shared with Ms. Heard in the Eastern Columbia building, or the ECB, as some people refer to it, to tell her that, to pick up his things, and to say goodbye. There is no dispute that soon after Mr. Depp ended things with Ms. Heard and left the apartment on May 21st, he got on a plane to head out on a European tour, a music tour, for months with his band, the Hollywood Vampires. And Ms. Heard knew that he was going off on tour and out of state when she walked into court to get the restraining order, which she obtained ex parte. It's a Latin word, fancy word, but all it means is that Mr. Depp and his lawyer were not there and had no opportunity to be heard. That's what an ex parte order is. You will hear from the police officers who responded to a 911 call on May 21st after Mr. Depp left. The police officers will testify that they saw no injuries on Ms. Heard. Both police officers will testify that they saw no injuries on Ms. Heard. Nor did the police officers see any of the property damages that you will hear Ms. Heard claims existed in the apartments that evening. And you will hear those officers under oath testify that there was no violence and that there was no crime.
Pretty dim.
Did you ask to see Amber Heard's face in the light?
No.
Did you ask Amber Heard whether she had any injuries?
No.
Did you interview any of the persons present about what had taken place earlier that night?
No.
Why not?
Because I was aware that there's a previous call regarding the incident, and the male that answered the door kind of made it clear to us that this is still left over from that same incident, and a new incident had not occurred. So I didn't feel the need to at that time.
Did you go through and search the entire apartment, including bedrooms, offices, and other areas?
No.
Again, why not?
It's the same as I explained earlier, and they were all adamant that her husband was no longer at scene.
Did you go into any of the other adjoining apartments?
No.
You asked where the husband was. Why did you ask where the husband was?
Because in the comments of the call, it stated the husband and wife were arguing.
Okay. And it was also a domestic violence.
Yeah, it's a domestic violence call, and it wouldn't be uncommon for, the male to answer the door to tell us that he's not the husband, and later it turns out that he is. So, we kind of have to talk to the other party involved to make sure that that's not the male that's involved in the argument.
Did any of the four people that were in the apartment identify Johnny Depp as that male?
No.
Was there any effort by any of the people in that apartment to get you to press charges or investigate further?
No.
Would you say the people were reluctant to even have you come into the apartment?
It felt that way.
And what occurred that made it feel like that to you? That they didn't want to they didn't want you in the apartment.
Just the way that the male was acting to answer the door. He kind of just said, "Oh, let me just go grab the business card from the previous call." And then even still, when we had went inside, it didn't seem like anybody was particularly eager to talk to us.
I'm going to ask you to take a look at Exhibit 1, Defendant's Exhibit 1. And this is the Daily Mail, Mail Online, July 3rd, 2020. And I'm going to go down to the 10th page. What, if any, evidence did you observe when you went to the penthouse on May 21, 2016, that Amber Heard and her friends were attempting to concoct an abuse hoax to set up Johnny Depp to be accused of domestic violence?
None that I can recall.
What, if any, evidence did you see of Amber and her friends spilling wine and roughing the place up?
None.
And what, if any, evidence did you see that Amber and her friends had concocted and gotten their story straight and were relaying them to you when you arrived?
None.
Did Amber or her friends at any time while you were at the apartment on May 21, 2016, claim that Johnny Depp had committed domestic violence of Amber?
Not to me, they didn't.
Did you see them do that to Officer Diener?
No.
What, if any, efforts did Amber Heard make to come over and to show you any evidence of injuries?
None.
And what, if any, effort did Amber Heard or her friends make to try to show you any type of property damage?
None.
And what, if any, evidence do you have that Amber or her friends placed a second call to 911?
I I don't have any evidence that it was one of her friends. I just know that there was a second call placed.
Coffee's hot. Burning up. Word around penthouse 3. Be advised, we're stepping on onto the penthouse floor. Hello. Officers. How you doing? Doing all right. You guys had somebody come out here earlier?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
I can't remember their names offhand. We have the card inside.
Cyan, maybe? Yeah, we got another call. I don't know if it's related to the same call from earlier or if somebody called again.
Probably.
We just need to check. One of you guys know someone in New York or something?
Yeah, she probably called twice.
Okay.
Yeah.
You just talk to your wife just to make sure.
Oh, it's not my wife.
Okay.
Different conversation.
Okay, yeah. Well, whoever it is, you know, step out, we just gotta check on and make sure they're all good.
I'll go get the business card from the cops.
Yeah, I don't know, just because we got another call and we came again, we still gotta make sure.
Give me 1 second.
Back up, please, back up.
Can we just, we'll just come in and just check, we just need to make sure everybody in here is okay and then we. I have called twice.
Yeah.
I don't know if she called twice or whoever called, but we just got another notification. So we just need to come in and make sure that everybody's okay. That they're all good. Nobody else is in here?
No. The other officers came by and checked the apartment and the other apartment as well.
Yeah.
It must have been like a double call.
Okay. Who's Amber? Okay. And Johnny
Is definitely not here.
is not here? Okay.
Last, probably like 2 hours ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Everything's all good then?
Now it's, yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, if you guys need anything else, just call us back.
Okay, thank you very much.
You have a good night.
Thank you, officers.
Yep, thank you. Good night. Coffee's hot. Burning up. We're around penthouse 3. because we got another call and we came again, we still gotta make sure.
Back up, please, back up.
Can we just come in and just check? We didn't make sure everything here.
It must have been like a double call.
Okay. Who's Amber? You? Okay. And Johnny?
Is definitely not here.
He's not here? Okay.
Probably like 2 hours ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, cool. Everything's all good then? Alright.
Thank you.
Well, if you guys need anything else, just call us back. Have a good night.
Now showing you defendant's exhibit number. And let me just stop you for a minute. Does this appear to be the video cam from your video cam?
Yes.
The other officer came by and checked the plate and the other place as well. It must have been like a double call.
Okay. Who's Amber? You? Okay.
So I'm just stopping here again on these three women. You had indicated before the woman that's leaning forward here that she's in the middle. Is that correct?
It appears that way.
And you think she's the one who did most of the talking, correct?
Yeah, right now she was the one talking.
Okay. And you believe that Amber is the one in the back behind her?
Yes.
Are you able to see the right side of Amber's face?
From this camera view, it looks like she's kind of facing straight towards me. So I would have been able to see the right side of her face from there.
Would you have been able to see it clearly?
Due to the low lighting, probably not very clearly.
You will also hear from multiple witnesses who, like the police officers, saw Miss Heard between May 21 and May 26. Those are the crucial days between the alleged incident and the day she walked into court with her lawyer and got an ex parte order. And those witnesses will testify that they saw her without any marks, any signs of injury on her face.
How long have you been employed at the Eastern Columbia building?
Approximately 13 years.
And could you please describe what kind of work you do for the Eastern Columbia building?
Most of it is just access control, and I deal with a lot of residents regarding their packages and food deliveries. Thousands of people probably.
Have you ever met Johnny Depp?
I saw him a couple of times.
Okay. Do you remember what Mr. Depp was wearing on any of those occasions?
Nope.
Do you remember what jewelry he had on?
Nope.
Do you remember what headgear he was wearing? If he was wearing a scarf or a hat?
No.
Do you remember whether Mr. Depp was wearing any makeup or eyeliner? On the
Nope,
time?
I don't remember. Nope.
You couldn't tell me one way or the other, right?
No.
Do you know whether Mr. Depp had ever been physically violent with Amber Heard? And by this I mean hitting, punching, throwing objects at her, kicking her, headbutting her. Do you know one way or the other whether Mr. Depp ever did that to Ms. Heard?
Nope.
Have you ever seen Mr. Depp slam things around or be angry?
No, I have never seen him like that.
I'm going to ask you some questions now about Amber Heard. When did you first meet Amber Heard?
I believe she was dancing on the lobby. I met her at the front desk. I interact more with her sister, Whitney, I believe that's her name, and her good friend Rocky. And but Amber, I only see him like once in a while when she was sometimes used to get packages.
Do you recall whether Ms. Heard became a resident sometime around March 2016?
Don't remember.
Could you tell me one way or the other?
I just can't remember. Like I said, it's been so long, I just don't remember. And like, I know you guys sent me the papers to review, and I'm gonna be honest, I didn't want to review them because it's been so long. It's like, just don't want to deal with this anymore. Yes, I went through the witness statement, and it's everything that is written there. That's what I said.
Okay. And
That was correct. That was accurate.
okay.
That's why I signed it.
So during the time between 2015 and 2016, how many times would you say total that you interacted with Amber Heard?
For a whole year, I can give you a number. Because it could be like, probably I probably saw Amber for 3 times in one day, probably I'll see like 5 times, or probably I will never see him for a whole week. So I don't have, like, there's never been a routine.
Okay. How would you describe Amber Heard's interactions with you? Were they friendly? Would she smile at you? Would she talk with you?
She was really friendly. She always smiled. But we never had like a interaction as really close relationship, like I do with some of the other residents. She never told me anything of her problems. She never stopped by and talked about her personal life. She never did that.
They're asking you about a date that you recall seeing Amber Heard on May 25th, 2016. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
And you said, probably, I just can't remember the days. I've got a really bad memory for dates. Did you see that?
Yep.
So, Mr. Romero, would you at any time be able to remember what type of clothing Amber Heard was wearing from one of her events?
Nope, I don't remember.
Would you remember on any daily basis what type of hairstyle she was wearing?
Nope.
Would you remember on any type of basis what type of bag Amber Heard was carrying?
No.
Would you be able to say whether Amber Heard was dressed up or casual on any given day?
No.
Would you be able to say whether what type of makeup Amber Heard was wearing on any given day?
No.
Would you be able to say, for example, whether Amber Heard had on concealer or foundation on any given day?
No.
Would you be able to say whether Amber Heard had on blush or powder on any given day?
No.
Would you be able to say whether Amber Heard had a mascara or eyeliner on any given day?
No.
How about eyebrow pencil or lip pencil?
No.
Do you have any memories of Amber Heard wearing a particular type of makeup with a type of outfit?
No.
If you were asked to describe any characteristics of Amber Heard from 2 days earlier without knowing you were going to be asked, would you be able to testify to any of those? What she was wearing, what her makeup was, what her hairstyle was?
No, I probably won't remember.
When is the first time that you recall anyone saying anything to you about the police being called at the EC building because of a domestic dispute between Mr. Depp and Amber Heard?
Well, to answer your question, whatever happened, it happened on a Saturday. I don't work Saturday. When I got there on Monday, they asked me, "Oh, you heard what happened?" And I said, "No, what happened?" So that's how I find out. Then I went to the cameras and see what was going on. Then as soon as I saw Johnny Depp on the camera on the elevator, just walking back and forward on the camera in the elevator, I said, "Okay, I know that was Tim," and that's all I knew. But I was not there on that Saturday when that happened. I believe that whatever that happened, they say it happened, and when they called the police, I believe it wasn't a Saturday, and I was not there.
Okay. Do you recall who told you that on that Monday following the Saturday?
Okay, Don, as a matter of fact, I think it was one of the residents that they approached to me, and they said there was a lot of noise because the person was working out on the gym that's next to the penthouse. They heard a bunch of noise, and that's it. And that's why I checked the camera. And when I looked at the cameras and I saw Johnny, like I said, was just walking back and forward in the elevator. And I said, like, okay, all right, okay, no, I'll try to figure it out. And I didn't say anything more. I turned off the camera, and that's it.
So the first part of that, somebody was working out and heard noise?
Someone was working out on the gym and heard the noise. They heard a lot of noise on the hallway. Because it's really rare to hear anything because most of the time the penthouse level is really quiet.
Okay. Do you remember who the person was in the gym that heard a lot of noise in the penthouse that night?
That's correct. I do remember the person.
Who is it?
I remember the person. Has been a resident in the building for a long time. I just don't remember. I don't remember her name.
And where is the gym in comparison to the penthouse that's owned by Mr. Depp?
Like I said, Johnny Depp owns all the penthouse on below the clock. The gym of the Eastern Columbia building is just in front of one of the penthouses. You actually can see it through the window.
You can see the gym through a window of the penthouse, or you can see the penthouse through a window of the gym?
You can see the gym through one of the windows to the penthouse, and it has a patio that leads to the gym. Penthouse has a patio to lead to the gym.
Okay. And this tenant, if you think of her name while you're, even if we're asking other questions, please let me know. This tenant, this is a resident there, right? That saw this?
Yeah, I believe her name is Shauna.
And so she told you she heard a lot of noise.
That's correct.
Did she describe anything, voices, any objects, anything like that?
No, she just said it was a noise. Not just noise. And she was just surprised because, like I said, it's always really quiet.
Okay. And so she wanted to know what happened. And so you went to the video cameras to look at video. How did you know when to look for them?
Because she got the time. She got the time that she was working out. That's why I figured out to track the time on the camera and looked. And then when as soon as I saw, like I said, Johnny Depp walking back and forth in the elevator, I turned off the camera and I figured out, okay, this is what happened. I figured out if we wanted to together, so I was okay.
When you said you figured out what happened after you saw Johnny Depp in the elevator, what did you figure out had happened?
I figured out that's why they call the cops, the police.
Because why?
Because of the noise that was on the penthouse level.
Mr. Romero, I'm going to ask you to look at, this is a video clip marked as Romero Exhibit Number 8.
In a kitchen, everything.
And it shows a date and time stamp near the bottom. Do you recognize this as the elevator at ECB building?
That's correct.
Mr. Romero, you're nodding. Is this the video that you remember looking at after Shauna told you that she heard the noise that night?
That's correct.
And that's Mr. Depp.
Correct.
Do you recognize the other two men in the elevator?
I recognize the guy in front of the elevator button. That's his personal bodyguard. The other guy, I've seen him before, but I never interact with him. If I did, I don't remember.
You said he looked agitated.
Yeah, he looked agitated. Like he was walking back and forward. He took his jacket. His body language was different than before. Most of the time, he's really calm. He's just like really happy person. Yeah, like this is the first time I saw him like that.
And then you go to the next, so then you say Wednesday, May 25th. At approximately 10:30, Ms. Heard walked into the lobby accompanied by Ms. Raquel Pennington. That's the person you called Rocky earlier. Do you remember her?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And you said that Ms. Heard approached you to ask you for the key to her unit, which you gave her. And you said we did not discuss anything else at that time.
Correct.
Ms. Heard stood approximately 3 feet away from you. I did not notice any bruises, cuts, swelling, red marks, or any other injuries of any kind on Ms. Heard's face. Do you see that?
Correct.
Okay. But you weren't looking for bruises, cuts, swelling, red marks, or any other injuries on Ms. Heard's face that night, were you?
I was not looking for any marks or bruises or anything. But it's something like that, it will be really noticeable. But I guess, I wasn't not looking. I was more focusing on what my job duties was, like getting the key. And also I gave them the key and they were talking about, I told her, you know what, your dog, I was talking with Raquel because her dog got out of her unit. And that was one of my concerns. I would tell her, you know what, I saw your dog was outside. You didn't want me to get too close to it. So it's still out there. On the penthouse area, the dog will be fine because it's not, like I said, it's always really quiet. And Mr. Depp owns everything up there, so it'll be fine. So that was one of my concerns. That was my job, and I was just taking care of that. I was not trying to say, oh, let me see your face. No.
So, and that's where I'm going to follow up. Do you remember what Ms. Heard was wearing that night?
Nope.
Do you remember whether she was dressed up?
No.
Do you remember where she was coming from, that she was coming home at 10:30 at night with Ms. Pennington?
No, I don't remember. They didn't mention to me. She was on the phone. She was with Raquel in front of me. We were talking about it, and then she left to the lobby where she was still on the phone.
So
I was focusing more on Raquel because I was telling about her dog.
Okay. Do you remember what hairstyle Ms. Heard had that night?
Nope.
Do you know what type of makeup Amber Heard was wearing that night?
No.
Can you tell me whether she was wearing concealer or foundation?
No.
Could you tell me whether she was wearing blush?
No.
Could you tell me whether she was wearing any kind of eye makeup?
No.
So who wrote the sentence, "I did not notice any bruises, cuts, swelling, red marks, or any other injuries of any kind in Ms. Heard's face"?
I'm pretty sure if I would have said something like that, I would have said something.
Mr. Romero,
I didn't saw any marks or bruises on her face. I don't recall. Just don't saw anything. She was just standing in front of me.
I'm asking specifically, I did not notice any bruises, cuts, swelling, red marks, or any other injuries of any kind to Ms. Heard's face. Who wrote that?
That's what I said. I didn't saw any marks or bruises on her face. That's what I said.
But
Because they asked me if I remember seeing anything, and so I just don't recall seeing any marks or bruises because she was just sitting in front of me. I just don't remember seeing anything. Just don't remember. If it would have been so obvious, like someone had like a black eye, I would have like, whoa, I would have seen that and I would have remembered because it's something that you will see. Like so noticeable, like you will remember. But when I was there talking to her, she was like 3 feet away from me. She was right in front of me. I just don't remember seeing any marks, bruises, or anything.
But you don't know whether she was wearing makeup to cover it, do you?
No, I don't know. No. She was wearing any makeup there to cover it, probably. You probably would cover any bruise, but you cannot cover the swelling.
Were you looking for swelling?
No. Like I said, I was not looking for anything.
In fact, you were spending more time talking to Rocky about her dog, were you not?
That's correct, but I gotta have it. When I'm talking to someone, I look into their eyes. And when I was talking to Amber and Rocky, I always look into their eyes.
Okay.
And I wouldn't notice like any swelling or bruise. Like I said, I probably would notice.
It's fair to say, Mr. Romero, that you can't say that Amber Heard had injuries or did not have injuries that day on the 25th?
I don't remember.
Okay.
And like I said, I would probably remember the swelling, but I didn't saw anything. Just don't remember.
And you don't remember seeing anything, right? But do you remember even looking?
I remember. I'm really sorry, but I remember. I gotta tell the whole story how they got there. Before they went and get the keys. They come down. They say somebody tried to get into my unit. There's scratches on my door. And like, I'm really sorry, but who will think is gonna get into your unit because they saw some scratches on the door, like 4 inches above the door, because the dog was scratching the door, was trying to get in, and they thought about someone trying to break into their unit. I said, in my head, I was like, you think someone's trying to get into your unit? There's scratches like 4 inches above the floor on your door. That was the dog trying to get into the unit. They were so afraid. Oh, someone's trying to get into my unit. They're like, oh, come on, really? And I actually, when they asked me to go inside the unit just to check room by room to make sure no one was there. So I did that. It's part of my job, make sure they're safe. But I didn't understand why they want me to do that. Like, I don't know. I just so stressed out because of this. I just don't want to deal with this anymore. I'm tired. I don't want to deal with this court case. Everybody got problems, and I don't want to deal with this no more. I don't want to put this with any more words.
The interaction you just testified about with Amber Heard and Rocky Pennington and talking about the dog and going up and checking out the penthouse, none of that was on video footage, correct?
That's correct. That we don't have cameras in the videos. Sorry, we don't have cameras at the hallway. We don't have cameras on the hallway.
I'm going to show you what has been marked as Romero Exhibit Number 1. It's a deposition that was taken of you on July 19, 2016. Now that's approximately 2 months after the May 21, 2016 incident. Do you recall giving that deposition?
16 probably I did. I just don't remember.
Okay. I'm going to take you to page 35. A little bit more. When you were asked, this is the same incident that you're talking about now, okay? And it's talking about, okay, you spoke with Amber at the front desk, later saw her in the lobby, later went upstairs with her. It says the question at line 6. I just want to go back for a second here. You said several times in answer to my questions that you didn't recall seeing any marks on Amber's face. When you say you didn't recall seeing any of those marks, did you mean that you didn't see any marks on her face? And your answer then was, I say that because when I saw Amber, I was not looking to see anything on her face. I was not looking to see anything. Do you recall giving that testimony under oath back at that time, 2 months after the incident?
Yes, I remember, because like I said, I always make eye contact with someone that I'm talking to, but I'm not looking to find something like oh, your makeup is wrong, you haven't have changed your eyebrows, or your eyelashes are not even, or I'm not looking for anything. I'm just looking at their eyes, and I'm not looking for anything else. But if I see something, I will probably will remember.
If you saw something, right?
Yeah, I would have probably would see, like if she had a swollen, like if she was wearing makeup, probably would have been seeing the swollen. I probably would remember that. But I was not looking for anything. I was like, oh, you know.
How swollen was Amber on the 25th of May? How swollen was her cheek then?
Well, according to the pictures I've been seeing right now that you're showing me, it was pretty swollen. I probably will remember that.
How many days later did you see her from that swelling?
That was on a Wednesday. That was from Saturday to Wednesday.
Right. How many days would it be fair to say that you cannot testify one way or the other whether Amber Heard was domestically abused by Johnny Depp on May 21, 2016?
I cannot say that. I would not agree to testify against anyone of domestic violence because I was not there. I didn't see anything. I didn't hear anything. I was not there. I was never there. I was probably hundreds of miles away and got no idea what happened that day.
And do you remember that there was pictures of wine, a glass of wine and bottle of wine stains on the floor outside of the, in the hallway of the penthouse from May 21st, 2016?
I remember telling to Mark, I'm not going to say it was wine.
All right. Well,
I'm not an expert.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next portion of this deposition contains questions asked by counsel for Mr. Depp.
You sit here today, when you saw her at the front desk on March 25th, you didn't see any bruising, correct?
Correct.
And you didn't see that, correct?
That's correct. I didn't see any marks or bruises.
You didn't see any swelling either, did you, Mr. Romero?
That's correct. No swelling at all.
And she was only 3 or 4 feet away from you, correct?
Correct.
And you were looking right into her face squarely, correct?
Correct.
And the lighting was good at the front desk, correct?
Objection?
Correct.
It was so good that had she had any bruises, swelling, or marks on her face, you would have noticed that, correct?
That's correct.
And then later that same day, and you've testified to this already today, later that same day, you went up the elevator with Ms. Hurd and Ms. Pennington in connection with their request for you to check the penthouse, correct?
That's correct.
And during that entire period of time, taking them up to the penthouse, walking through the penthouse, and then finally you leaving and going back to your desk, you looked at Ms. Hurd during that time period, correct?
That's correct.
And you looked her in the face, squarely in the face, correct?
Correct.
And you didn't notice any swelling, correct?
Correct.
I'm sorry?
Correct. I didn't saw anything.
Did you see any swelling?
Objection?
No.
Did you see any bruises?
Nope.
See any marks on her face of any kind?
No marks at all.
And again, just to repeat, when you were fronted, looking her in the face, did you see any swelling on her face?
Nope.
See any bruises on her?
Nope.
Did you see any marks of any kind on her face?
No marks at all.
And how was the light down when you were at the reception and you were looking at her and didn't see any of this? How was the lighting?
The lighting is actually pretty good. It's not dark at all. She was 6 feet apart. Approximately 3 to 4 feet apart.
Were you looking her square in the face?
Correct.
Okay. And when you were up in the penthouse and you were looking her square in the face, how far apart were you from her then?
We actually were pretty close to each other. She was probably just next to me. She was telling me, like, go into this room, so I need to pass right in front of her.
And do you recall seeing any bruises, swelling, redness, or any marks on Miss Hurd's face on May 24th, 2016?
I don't see anything.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, the remainder of this deposition of this witness contains questions by counsel for Ms. Hurd.
I'm going to talk a little bit about the video clips that Mr. Deff's attorney showed you.
Delicious do-good chicken. Fight food waste and combat climate change from your kitchen.
I'm going to ask you, first of all, Mr. Presidio showed you a number of video clips from May 24th. Do you recall that?
May 24th?
Yes.
Yep, that's Tuesday.
But in fact, you don't recall seeing Amber Heard on May 24th, correct?
I don't remember. I don't even remember what I got for breakfast.
Okay. Well, let's pull up exhibit number 1. Let's stay on page 17. That's a good place. This is your deposition from July 19, 2016. Do you recall that?
19? Yeah.
Okay. And that's...
That was 3 in the morning.
Okay. And it said here, did you work, so Saturday was the 21st. Did you work that day? No. Did you work Sunday, May 22nd? No. Did you work May 23rd? Yes. On May 23rd while you were working, did you see Amber at any time? I don't recall seeing her. Question, did you work on Tuesday, May 24th? Yes, I did. And And on Tuesday, May 24th, at any time did you see Amber? I don't recall seeing her. Do you remember that being your testimony 2 months after the events?
Yeah. I just don't recall. I just don't remember.
Okay. And then while we're here, now, Mr. Presidio had you go through a number of video clips and ask you a bunch of questions about whether you saw swelling, whether you saw red marks, whether you saw all kinds of other things. But in fact, I'm going to ask you, and tell me if you need me to bring up the videos and replay them. Can you tell me what type of makeup Amber Heard was wearing in any of those videos?
No, I can't tell you. I didn't even know she was wearing any lipstick.
Can you tell me whether Amber Heard was wearing concealer in any of those videos?
No.
Can you tell me whether Amber Heard was wearing any foundation in any of those videos?
No, I can't tell you.
Can you tell me whether Amber Heard was wearing any blush in any of those videos?
No.
Can you tell me whether Amber Heard was wearing any powder in any of those videos?
No, but she looks really pale.
Well, do you know what shade of concealer or foundation or powder Ms. Heard uses or used at that time?
No.
Okay. So you don't know whether Ms. Heard was wearing makeup in every one of those video clips, correct?
Correct.
I want to try to move along. So the incident was May 21st, 2016. You saw her the night of May 25th, correct?
Correct.
You said you saw Amber Heard hundreds of times while she was there. Did Amber Heard treat you well, and was she friendly to you in each of these hundreds of times?
Yes. I'm not going to say no because she was really always nice.
All right, this is my last.
Be nice.
All right, this is my last question. You testified in response to Mr. Presidio's questions that you testified truthfully in all of these occasions. Did you testify truthfully to everything that you testified in response to my questions today?
That's correct.
All right.
I did.
And you will hear from multiple witnesses, including Brandon Patterson, who is the manager of the Eastern Columbia building, where Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard lived together. You will hear Mr. Patterson say that he saw, and others will say as well, that they saw a surveillance video from the week of May 21st that showed Ms. Heard's sister, Whitney, throw a fake punch at Ms. Heard's face. Now let's just stop there. This is a surveillance video you will hear about where the sister of the alleged victim threw a fake punch at her sister, which allegedly occurred, this incident, only a couple of days earlier. Ms. Heard acting out being punched, responding to the fake punch, and the two laughing about it. So you have the alleged victim and the sister laughing about a fake punch. And you will have to decide for yourself, or we ask that you please decide for yourself, would anyone ever joke about that if there had been actual abuse? Much less ask yourself, would a sister ever joke with an alleged victim about being punched by her husband? Of course, none of this contradicting evidence was publicly available when Ms. Heard walked into court on May 27th and got her restraining order. Instead, as you can imagine, the media storm was instantaneous. You will hear about and see some of that media coverage, which published pictures of Ms. Heard walking into court and other pictures supposedly showing injuries supposedly caused by Mr. Depp, a man who had never been accused of abuse of a woman. The evidence will show that Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard eventually settled their divorce out of court. Thereafter, Ms. Heard dismissed her restraining order against Mr. Depp. But Ms. Heard's false claim that Mr. Depp had abused her remained in the public sphere. It didn't go away. The images were permanent. And the evidence will show that 2 years later, which is why we're pointing to that reference in the op-ed, in the wake of the Me Too movement, and just before the release of Ms. Heard's role in the movie Aquaman, Ms. Heard chose to remind the world about the festering allegations, this time under the banner of a international newspaper, The Washington Post. In the op-ed, in her op-ed, Ms. Heard again painted herself as the innocent victim of abuse, but this time with a wider audience primed to take action against industry powerhouses accused of abuse. The evidence will show that the clear implication in Ms. Heard's op-ed that you have in front of you was that she was the victim of domestic abuse perpetrated by Mr. Depp. The evidence will show that that was a lie, and it remains a lie when it was repeated and republished 2 years later. Hollywood studios don't want to deal with the public backlash from hiring someone accused of abuse, even someone with the incredible body of work and record that Mr. Depp can be proud of. A false allegation can devastate a career. And it can devastate a family. And the evidence will show that Ms. Heard's false allegations had a significant impact on Mr. Depp's family and his ability to work in the profession he loved and loved to bring joy to everyone. Ultimately, this trial is about clearing Mr. Depp's name of a terrible and false allegation. We ask you in the next several weeks to please carefully consider the evidence, assess the reliability and credibility of that evidence, and to make your own determination about what actually happened between Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard. And to tell you more about that, I am going to turn it over to my colleague, Camille Vasquez, who you had the pleasure of meeting yesterday. Thank you all for your attention.
Ms. Vasquez?
On May 21st, after Mr. Depp left, the police officers will testify that they saw no injuries on Ms. Heard. Both police officers will testify that they saw no injuries on Ms. Heard. Nor did the police officers see any of the property damages that you will hear Ms. Heard claims existed in the apartments that evening. And you will hear those officers under oath testify that there was no violence and that there was no crime. You will also hear from multiple witnesses who, like the police officers, saw Ms. Heard between May 21 and May 26. Those are the crucial days between the alleged incident and the day she walked into court with her lawyer and got an ex parte order. And those witnesses will testify that they saw her without any marks, any signs of injury on her face. And you will hear from multiple witnesses, including Brandon Patterson, who is the manager of the Eastern Columbia building, where Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard lived together. You will hear Mr. Patterson say that he saw, and others will say as well, that they saw a surveillance video from the week of May 21st that showed Ms. Heard's sister, Whitney, throw a fake punch at Ms. Heard's face. Now, let's just stop there. This is a surveillance video you will hear about where the sister of the alleged victim threw a fake punch at her sister, which allegedly occurred, this incident, only a couple of days earlier. Ms. Heard acting out being punched, responding to the fake punch, and the two laughing about it. So you have the alleged victim and the sister laughing about a fake punch. And you will have to decide for yourself, or we ask that you please decide for yourself, would anyone ever joke about that if there had been actual abuse? Much less ask yourself, would a sister ever joke with an alleged victim about being punched by her husband? Of course, none of this contradicting evidence was publicly available when Ms. Heard walked into court on May 27th and got her restraining order. Instead, as you can imagine, the media storm was instantaneous. You will hear about and see some of that media coverage, which published pictures of Ms. Heard walking into court and other pictures supposedly showing injuries supposedly caused by Mr. Depp, a man who had never been accused of abuse of a woman. The evidence will show that Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard eventually settled their divorce out of court. Thereafter, Ms. Heard dismissed her restraining order against Mr. Depp. But Ms. Heard's false claim that Mr. Depp had abused her remained in the public sphere. It didn't go away. The images were permanent. And the evidence will show that 2 years later, which is why we're pointing to that reference in the op-ed, in the wake of the Me Too movement, and just before the release of Ms. Heard's role in the movie Aquaman, Ms. Heard chose to remind the world about the festering allegations, this time under the banner of a international newspaper, the Washington Post. In the op-ed, in her op-ed, Ms. Heard again painted herself as the innocent victim of abuse, but this time with a wider audience primed to take action against industry powerhouses accused of abuse. The evidence will show that the clear implication in Ms. Heard's op-ed that you have in front of you was that she was the victim of domestic abuse perpetrated by Mr. Depp. The evidence will show that that was a lie, and it remains a lie when it was repeated and republished 2 years later. Hollywood studios don't want to deal with the public backlash from hiring someone accused of abuse, even someone with the incredible body of work and record that Mr. Depp can be proud of. A false allegation can devastate a career. And it can devastate a family. And the evidence will show that Ms. Heard's false allegations had a significant impact on Mr. Depp's family and his ability to work in the profession he loved and loved to bring joy to everyone. Ultimately, this trial is about clearing Mr. Depp's name of a terrible and false allegation. We ask you in the next several weeks to please carefully consider the evidence, assess the reliability and credibility of that evidence, and to make your own determination about what actually happened between Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard. And to tell you more about that, I am going to turn it over to my colleague, Camille Vasquez, who you had the pleasure of meeting yesterday. Thank you all for your attention.
Ms. Vasquez?